Hello guys, welcome back to Comic Book Cafe, and today we are reviewing X-Force #1. X-Force #1 came out in 1991, and there were 5 different versions. The comic book was the same, but there were 5 different cards that came with the book, and so if you wanted all of them, you had to buy all of them, and it came in this plastic wrap. And these 4 cards are, for example, Cable. This one's, of course, Deadpool. This is, of course, Shatterstar. And this one is X-Force. And, of course, just to keep everything nice and cool, inside each uses like a card for the t-shirt or something. Now, the bad thing about this at the time, and this is wrapped up in this way, to keep the card in there and everything together. But unfortunately, if you have one sealed over time, the comic books do yellow because of the kind of plastic they're using, of course. But, of course, I do have a copy that's not sealed. And for those that don't know, on the covers, Shatterstar, Cannonball, Warpath, Domino, Boom Boom, Furl, and Cable. That makes up our X-Force. Now, some would argue this book was at the height of Rob Linfield's popularity in the comic book world, as this is the point where he was completely on fire. This was somewhat called, in a certain time, in a golden age for Marvel. In the early 90s, you had Larson, McFarlane, Valentino, all these guys making great art, making great comic books at the time. At least me as a fan, I loved the comic books at the time. And the art was amazing, and there hadn't been art like that just at that time. And Marvel was hitting on all cylinders. You had a lot of great writers too, and all that stuff going on. You had Hulk, Peter David. You can go through the list of great writers and artists that Marvel had at the time. Anyway, so Linfield took over the New Mutants. Obviously, New Mutant 98, he introduced Deadpool, he introduced Cable in the New Mutant series, and New Mutant 100 ended. And when it ended, you immediately found out that X-Force was coming, because they went from being, we're going to be these kids trying to learn, to now a military unit, no longer going by Xavier's rules, no longer going by the rules that all the other X teams went. They were their own military unit, and run by Cable, the X-Force, and their goal was to take out the Mutant Liberation, run by Strife. I'm not going to talk about reasons, what the big deal between Cable and Strife was. We'll get to that when we get into later issues of X-Force and stuff where those details are revealed. But this book starts off basically with Cable and his group finding there's an anarch base for the Mutant Liberation Front, and they're going to go take it out, and they're going to go get Strife. That's basically the plan. Now, the point of setting up this book, there's a lot of banter between a lot of people in this book, obviously, and they go there, and when they get there, they run against the fodder, as they call it. Not really the fodder, but basically the non-important guys, and not guys that don't matter. But they do run across eventually Forearm, Kamikaze, Wildside, and Reaper. And for example, like Linfield and them set up early the characteristics of certain characters, like Shatterstar, for example. So he runs up against Reaper, I believe it is, or is it Wildside? He runs up against one of them very early, fighting him, and the guy's like, again, thinking that they follow the rules of all the other X teams. They're not going to hurt anybody. They're not going to kill anybody. And Shatterstar, cuts his hand off. And doesn't kill him because, he says, my new comrades don't want me to do that. But don't think I won't do that. So you set up him, having the ability to kill if he feels the need to, because obviously he would do it because he doesn't have that thing not to kill. In other words, if there was a situation where he had to kill, he could do it. Later on in the book, Furl runs into the same situation, and she rips, cuts the guy's mouth and jaw, and basically would have killed him, but Cable tells her not to. Again, showing that some of these guys on the team need to have a short leash, or they might step over the line too far. So they're fighting back and forth, and you see a lot of things going on, a lot of interaction stuff going on. And then you finally see Strife in the book, and he basically sets a self-destruct, tells not the one person asks him not to worry about the people we're fighting. It's better to lose a couple fingers than the whole. And so that's what happens. But when Zero shows up, save one of the guys that was fighting, they're like, what's going on? The place is shaking. And Cable and them finally run into Strife, and Zero shows up there, and Strife takes off. And Cable's like, we missed it. He got away again. And you clearly tell Cable's upset that he got away again. And so that part of them is done for now. We see other groups along the way, like Gillian is introduced. I believe I said his name properly. I want to make sure I say it right because I tend to, I might be like adding enough or not pronouncing enough. I do like the colors and art style of this book. As I'm trying to find the page, of course. Okay. Yeah. So Gillian. So he's there he's teaching. Well, he doesn't call him by his mutant name, but so he's teaching one of the former, obviously, New Mutant guys, his ways and what he's doing. And he's telling me, you're going to help, in this meeting. So, he's all excited about that. He's been teaching with him and learning with him for 6 months, learning his ways and stuff like that. And just, again, setting up the introduction to the character introduced in the book. And then we see Commander Bridge in this book, and he's part of S.H.I.E.L.D., kind of doesn't really answer to anybody except for Nick Fury. And, he clearly knows that, that this is Mutant Liberation Front space, and that Cable has something to do with it. And Cable and him have a past too, but you don't know what that past is. And then, we have Cannonball, Cable about, his deal with Strife, and he tells him the story about Tyler. He wasn't his son or anything, but a guy he was really close to, and then, he left and joined the Mutant Liberation Front, and, sent him on a terrorist attack, and Tyler got killed, and he says that's one of the many reasons why he wants to go after him. And Domino shows up, and Cannonball leaves, and again, you could tell he's not telling the kids everything. She points that out early, and you see him flowing tools around because you don't know about all of his powers at this point. He's flowing stuff around, through his telekinesis, and he's like, I'll tell him when the time is right, kind of thing. And then we go back to Gillian, and they're in the meeting, and then you found the person going to buy out that they had a counter offer by Black Tom. And Black Tom basically said, you guys aren't going to leave, you're now my hostages, for however long it takes, whatever we want. Gillian had told, the other guy, sit down, relax, we'll make a time. And this is all set up to this book. Now, at the very end of this book, they do have, Cable's bios of people, like Commander Bridge, Deadpool, some of the X-Force. His opinions, that's where you find out that him and Commander Bridge have a past, with the Wild Pack, which Cable ran into. You see Cable once again shot Deadpool. Again, overall a good book. A lot of great setup. And what I mean by there's a lot of stuff set up for future in this book. This is at the time there wasn't an X book like this when it came out, so it was so different, and everybody had latched onto it. And this book was basically set up for what would come in the future. So many different characters set up in this book that would later matter in the book for a lot of different reasons. You didn't know who Strife was. You knew that Cable wanted, but you didn't know who Strife was. Why he wanted him so badly. You knew the Tyler story. But and of course, Domino makes a point about the Magnum size, wound. So, but you didn't know why at this point. So, what do you think of X-Force 1? Did you like it? Not like it? Did you